to get your fix.
Are you ready? Are you ready to get your fix? Are you ready? Are you ready to get your fix? Are you ready? Are you ready to get your fix? Are you ready? Are you ready to get your fix? Are you ready? Are you ready to get your fix? Are you ready to get your fix?
With the Wicks here on this beautiful October 26th, 2021, and welcome to True Identity Tuesday, where I will basically dive into a handful of teams that I feel like we have a good understanding of what they are all about. All right. However, before we dive into true identities of the teams that I have selected for today's show, and also last night's Monday Night Football match between the New Orleans Saints and the Seattle Seahawks, I would like to address not only my game picks, but also John's or Y4 guest host on Fantasy Football Friday, and as well as Logan's guest host as well on Fantasy Football Friday. So far, through 2 weeks of game picks, John has a record of 20-7 after going 9-4 this weekend. Pretty solid there for old Y4. Good for him. All right, but Logan is sitting at 16-11. All right, pretty rough patch he hit, especially first week, going 7-7 in his picks. I think he kind of maybe just went a little too quick at it and thought picked the teams that he's used to always seeing win. And I think he picked those guys to win those games. Probably what screwed him over a little bit week 1. But week 2 he bounced back, huh? 9-4 as well, just like John or Y4, whatever you want to call him. I mean, hey, it goes both ways on that situation. But Logan is 16-11 after 2 weeks. Pretty rough. But hey, it's looking up over 500. We're working, we're getting better at those picks there, Logan. Congratulations. We got to, amp it up for week 3 here, or actually, week 3 for pick'ems, week 8 for the NFL coming up this Thursday with the Green Bay Packers taking on the Arizona Cardinals. It'll be a fun one to watch that. But also, let's get to my picks, my game picks. I am currently leading the pack, all right, at 22-5 with my picks after going 11-2 this week, 11-5 last week. I mean, thanks a bunch to the New Orleans Saints for pulling it off last night, so my record didn't suffer another L in that column or whatever. And hey, I mean, I try my best picking these games, and trying to see what I think, who I think is going to come out on top from week to week, game to game. And hey, I only cover the NFL every single day, 24/7. I mean, I'm literally, you can ask me any question you really need to about NFL, and I pretty much, for the most part, have the answer, or at least have my own opinion on some topics and stuff. So I know my stuff. I didn't think I was gonna go do this well, 22-5. That's pretty stellar in my opinion. We're gonna keep that road, or keep that fucking going a little bit. Hopefully, we'll see this week 8. I think there's a lot of games that could go either way. I might have the Cardinals beating the the Packers beating the Cardinals. That's probably one that I might lose, but if I win, hey, that makes me an even better guesser, I guess, if you will, for pick'ems coming up this week 8. But I mean, anyways, enough bragging, all right, about my game picks record. I mean, 22-5. It's just pretty stellar in my opinion. But it's time to get to True Identity Tuesday. Are you ready to get your fix? Well, before we get to some true identities of teams around the NFL, in which I have picked out four for today, we're going to talk about that last night's game, the Monday Night Football match between the New Orleans Saints and the Seattle Seahawks. We had a pretty boring fucking game last night. Pretty similar, I'd say, to that of the Indianapolis Colts and 49ers game, except the 49ers-Colts game, they were actually able to get some shit going, okay? They were actually able to put points on the board, unlike last night where the final score was 13-10. Saints come out on top, move to 4-2 on the season, where the Seattle Seahawks now are at 2-5, all right? Bummer for those guys. Who would have thunk they were going to be that far down in their division? I mean, that is the toughest division to play in all of football, or at least in the NFL, that NFC West division with the Rams, Seahawks, Niners, and Cardinals. But the Seahawks are, they're hurting right now real bad. But last night, hey, I think there's a couple things we saw that was good, okay, and that was bad. Jameis Winston, okay, he went 19 for 35, had 222 passing yards, a touchdown. He also ran the ball 8 times, had 40 yards, but he also fumbled. All right, Kamara did amazing. All right, 20 rushes, 51 yards, 10 catches, 128 yards, and a touchdown. They looked pretty solid for the most part. There was, some parts of that game where you're just like, what the hell are you doing? I think one big takeaway from this is that Jameis likes to take a lot of shots. Okay, he will toss that ball 50 yards down the field if it means there's a chance that his receiver might possibly come away with it, either double covered, triple covered, or maybe even wide open. But the man fucking overshoots him about 10 yards every single time. He has to figure that out a little bit. That was a big takeaway for me, anyways, was that Jameis Winston likes to take those shots. And I think really his play style hasn't changed. Okay, he did get LASIK. We thought everything was going to be just, hunky-dory. He's going to be just fine out there on the football field, and he is, all right? Not many interceptions at this point in the season, but I think he is trying to do a little bit too much, like when he was at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, when he became the first NFL quarterback in history to have it was like 33 touchdowns or 30 plus touchdowns, 30 plus interceptions in the exact same year. Brett Favre did it as well, but he didn't do 30 and 30 in the same year. I think he had 30 interceptions or 30 touchdowns the year before, and then 30 interceptions the year after. Wade did really shitty after that year, I guess. I'm not really sure. Haven't looked at those stats. I just know Brett Favre did it at one point in his career, just not in the same game. But Jameis likes to take those risks. And that could be good and that can be bad, okay? We've seen Case Keenum, for instance, in Minnesota when he would like to take a lot of risk. Hey, if he's throwing the ball fucking 30, 40 yards down the field, there's a chance it could A, get intercepted, B, get knocked down, or C, come away with it and you have a fucking Minneapolis Miracle. You head to the NFC Championship where you lay an egg and the rest is kind of history there. Philadelphia Eagles go on to win the Super Bowl. But it's that same situation where you don't know what you're going to get with Jameis Winston. A, he could possibly ball out and have a lot of passing yards on the day, a couple touchdowns and stuff like that. We've seen it recently with his massive Hail Marys to fucking Marquez Callaway, even in preseason. That was a thing. I think Jameis needs to cool it, all right, just a little bit. Stop trying to make things happen. Let them unfold by themselves and kind of, let the game come to you. Don't force the game to come to you. Don't make these big plays that really don't need to be happen. Or that really don't need to happen at all. But he's a good quarterback. Okay, he's not a great quarterback by any means, but I think you can also put into question, is this the guy that Sean Payton wants to roll with? Not only Sean Payton, is this the guy that Sean Payton and the New Orleans Saints want to continue to roll with in the future? And that's a conversation to be had because, we've seen when he was at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, he had some mistakes and some miscues. He liked to take a lot of risks, and he's doing with the Saints now. They are sitting at 4-2, second of the division behind the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But I still think there's a big gap of production or performance between the Saints and the Buccaneers. I think the Buccaneers are a really, really solid team compared to the Saints. The Saints have some issues. Defensively, they can play phenomenal, and they did last night. They played pretty solid football for the most part, getting that huge back-to-back sacks to end the game there on Geno Smith. And I think that, Geno Smith we could talk about a little bit as well. Okay, Geno Smith, he's been solid for the most part, I guess, the last 2 weeks. Last night, not too bad, but still struggled a little bit, and I think a lot of that had to do with the offensive line, that protection that they were are not able to give him. Jesus, scared the shit out of me. But Geno went 12 for 22, okay, 167 yards and a touchdown. He was also sacked 5 times, and that's what I was talking about when I said that offensive line really didn't give him any help, okay? But another thing about Geno, I understand. I said I'd only need DK to score about 10 or less points yesterday, okay? And thank God he did. But DK Metcalf was only given the ball 2 times for a total of 96 yards and a touchdown. The first pass he caught was an 84-yard bomb to the end zone, wide open. I mean, nobody was seen within miles of DK Metcalf out there. Why the hell did you not go back to him? Was it because the Saints fucking started, double teaming him, or having, man on man, having the safety kind of, how do you want to say it? Kind of keep an eye on him, if you will, kind of travel around that area, making sure that DK doesn't get that ball again, where we've seen a lot of Tyler Lockett, we've seen a lot of, what's his name? Well, you get the gist, okay? DK Metcalf should have been given the ball a lot more than what he was given, because one catch, 84 yards, right off the bat, you're thinking, all right, that's the guy today. Okay, they have Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf, and it goes back to a couple teams. Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods on the Rams, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Antonio Brown on the Bucks. Which one do you go to? It's the one that starts going off, the one that starts off super hot. That's the one they're going to continue to go to throughout the entire game. Wasn't the case last night for some odd reason. I have no idea why. Could it be because it was fucking raining? Maybe. But if that was the case, if it was because there was rain, what are we dealing with right here? They come off to start the season. Carson Wentz a little banged up. He starts playing anyways week 1. Quentin Nelson's a little banged up. They're missing T.Y. Hilton. Jonathan Taylor hasn't really started to get reach his full potential, and now he finally has hit that potential, having massive back-to-back weeks for the Indianapolis Colts and some big wins there, who are now 3-4, I believe, on the season. But the Seahawks need Russell Wilson big time. I think he's going to be, that perfect happy medium of throwing the ball to DK or Tyler, letting them both have a chance to kind of ball out. Because I think if Russell Wilson were in that game last night and he throws that first pass to DK Metcalf, scores that 84-yard touchdown, I think the game is a lot different, or has a lot different ending to it, because Russell Wilson's not going to take that, lightly. He's going to be like, all right, you're not going to guard DK Metcalf. Sounds good. We'll just fucking light you up all goddamn game. And we seen DK last night getting some fucking skirmishes there with Lattimore and stuff. I thought DK caused a lot of that. I think he is a drama queen, to say the least. I think he likes to poke the bear when the bear is coming out of hibernation, if you will, or something like that, about to get real fucking pissed. He just got done sleeping days, months, whatever it is out there. But the Seahawks need Russell Wilson in a big way. Now sitting at 2-5, last in their division. Last. I would have never guessed they were going to be last in their division. I thought maybe second in their division behind the Rams. I think I actually had Rams, Seahawks, Cardinals, Niners, because I don't trust Jimmy Garoppolo that much. I don't trust, I guess I don't trust that whole 49ers offense as much as I trust their defense. But their defense has been letting them down a little bit as well. But I think we can all come to in agreement, the Seahawks need Russell Wilson, because that is their identity. If you don't have Russell Wilson, they're not going to win many games, and we've seen it. 3 straight losses since he's been hurt. He did play in that Rams game, like I noted, but he didn't play much after that finger decided to take a 180 and point the other direction, when really it was supposed to be fucking pointing straight up like my fingers. I don't even know, but that is a big one. I think Russell Wilson is the Seahawks' identity. Another team, okay, from last night's game, Monday Night Football, the Saints, I think we know their identity as well. And that's Alvin Kamara. Plain and simple. This man is a beast, all right? He is the fastest player, to reach both 3,000 rushing yards and 3,000 receiving yards in his career, all right? This guy is an absolute animal. And the reason I'm saying Alvin Kamara is the Saints' identity. Last year would have been a little different with Drew Brees and stuff. I'd have to kind of go back to figure out their identity, but I'm not going to. Alvin Kamara this year is solely their identity. Look, they have losses to the Carolina Panthers and the New York Giants. I went back and looked at Alvin Kamara's stats during those games, and he really didn't do shit. Okay, that tells me one thing. You stop Alvin Kamara, you stop the Saints. That is what basically is going to happen or play out that's ultimately what's going to happen there. Okay, they have wins against the Packers. That one was a tough one. That one, I don't know what happened there. I don't think any of us really understand what the hell happened there, other than Green Bay only touching the field, or Green Bay's offense only touching the field 12 times. That defense is going to get fucking tired real fast, and that's exactly what happened, getting blown out 38-3. But still, it's like that game could have, if you go back to that game, if you played that game right now today, I think you have a way different outcome than what it was week 1. Okay, they also beat the Patriots, another team. It's like this team is young. This team is kind of rebuilding in a way, not really, but it is. I mean, new rookie quarterback in the helm, a whole shit ton new players back on that roster. Kendrick Bourne, Hunter Henry, Jonnu Smith. I mean, I could go on and on about who they have. I think Nelson Aguilar is there and stuff. So that's a brand new team a little bit for the most part. I mean, they lost an offensive lineman. I can't remember what his name was off the top of my head. But I think he's now on the Chiefs or something like that. But they also beat the Washington football team. Their defense hasn't been playing the greatest football. They did pretty well this week, I'd say, especially that front four with Chase Young and Matt Ioannidis or whatever his name is. But they, obviously are not the greatest football team to play, hence the name, football team, Washington football team. And they also beat the Seahawks last night, 13-10. That was a kind of one of those games where if Russell Wilson was playing, like I said, that's a different outcome. I think the Saints ultimately lose that, and I think Russell Wilson and the Seahawks come out on top, but that's not what we got to see. We got to see Geno Smith try to light it up on the football field, only throwing to DK a couple, handful of times throughout that game. Should have done it more. But, hey, next up for the Saints, they have the Bucks. Like I said, there's a massive difference, I think, between the way the Bucks perform and the way the Saints perform. I think the Bucks are going to take this game easily away from the Saints this weekend. But it's also going to be very interesting to see because am I wrong? Am I going to be wrong this week? Probably not, because I think a lot of us can agree that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are a lot better team than the New Orleans Saints. Okay, if the Saints had Drew Brees, maybe we're talking a little bit different. Who knows? Michael Thomas could be back in the mix of things, and when he's back, that'll be interesting to see how the Saints grow and develop into, or later on in the season, do they make the playoffs? Barely, okay? Because we know the NFC so far this year is looking like the AFC of, previous years in the past, where the AFC was that fucking hard-nosed, we're going to win a lot of games, it's going to be a tough, outcome. Who's going to make that 7th seed in the playoffs? Now it seems to be the NFC this year, and I don't know why that is. But, it's a thing, okay? And then after the Bucks, they got the Falcons. The Falcons are kind of starting to play a little bit better. Cordero Patterson's starting to find his feet, looking really, really good out there, both receiving and rushing-wise. He's looking solid. Kyle Pitts is a fucking monster. 100-plus receiving yards in back-to-back games. Awesome for him. Then they got the Titans. Beat the Bills. Beat the Chiefs. Beat the Seahawks. Beat the Jags. Beat the Colts. Pretty solid team for the most part. Have 2 division wins, 2 wins against massive, superstar teams in the Bills and the Chiefs with Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill. Even though their defense is garbage, you got to figure it out. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. It's going to be tough. If they do make the playoffs, hell yeah, good for you guys. Fucking hitting the roller coaster, all these ups and downs this season for you. But after the Titans, they got the Eagles. And the Eagles, just plain and simple, they got to try to fucking run the ball. It's going to be tough now because Miles Sanders is hurt. Sucks. I think he's going to be injury prone for his career, which is a big bummer in my eyes, because I feel like he's going to be or he was a top back in the NFL if he was able to, get the attempts out there from Sirianni. But Sirianni has his fucking thumb up his butt, doesn't know what the hell he's doing out there, just says, we got Jalen. We got Jalen. Let's just give it to him, see what he does. He'll run it. We don't need these running backs. He can throw the ball as well. So, we're just fine. Fuck Miles. We don't need him. And then all of a sudden, you're like, we might have to run because we get back, or we get behind in a lot of these games. Let's try to get, that momentum back on our side. Let's show that defense that, hey, we're hard-nosed football players. We're going to hit you right in the face or whatever. And then it becomes too late because they fucking lost to the Las Vegas Raiders, who have an interim head coach there. But at the same time, I think that's a big step forward in talking about the Raiders' true identity, which I think is pretty comparable, pretty about the same as what the Cincinnati Bengals identity is, and that's tough, hard-nosed football, hit you first. How you doing, keep it moving type of football. This is a good team. Okay, this is a team that I think whatever coach was on their sideline, it doesn't matter. I don't think. I think this team would be pretty solid. I think John Gruden did a very nice job, even though he is a scumbag, getting these guys ready to play in the NFL or at the NFL level, because this is a good team. Derek Carr's balling out. Hunter Renfrow, Henry Ruggs is balling out. Josh Jacobs has this injury bug a little bit. Somehow these guys are figuring out a way to win. I think a lot of that has to do with their defense. But they also haven't played that many, good of teams, I guess. They have losses to the Chargers and to the Bears. They have beat the Ravens, the Steelers, the Dolphins, the Broncos, and the Eagles. So they haven't really, those wins, I mean, the only two big wins there for the Raiders are against the Ravens and the Steelers. And the Steelers right off the bat they're a team where it's like, what is going on? Is this Big Ben's fault? Is this your receiver's fault? Is this defense? Is this your defense fault? Probably not, in my opinion. I think it might be a little mix of Ben Roethlisberger and their receivers. I think they got to figure that out a little bit, get on the same page. Juju is now out. He's missing the entire season now, I think, or I believe. So, but the Raiders, they're an interesting team. They're sitting at 5-2, first in the AFC West, okay, over the Broncos, Chiefs, and Chargers. No, excuse me. Yeah, and so over the Chargers as well. Chargers still would have been first if they wouldn't have lost, I believe, last week, if I'm not mistaken. But, hey, this is a good football team. Like I said, they're going to come out there, and they're known. I mean, this is the fucking Raiders, the black hole. You're supposed to go in there and expect a beatdown and hopefully come away with a win, if not lose. But at the same time, I mean, like I said, this is a team that plays just like the Cincinnati Bengals. They're going to go out there. They have nothing to lose, okay? Just put it that way. They have nothing to lose at all. They just lost John Gruden as a head coach because of his scumbagish remarks or whatever you want to say. And, fucking they moved from Oakland to Las Vegas. That's kind of already done and over with. But at the same time, it's like, what do we got to lose? Okay? We haven't really done too much the last couple of years, sitting about 500-ish here and there. Now it's our time. Okay, if we start losing, everybody's going to be like, oh, okay, well, this is the Raiders we're used to seeing for at least the past 3-5 years or something like that. So if they continue this winning streak or something like that, you're like, damn, okay, this is a good football team. And I think rightfully so, this is a very good football team, just like the Bengals. You never know when they're going to lose. They might win some really, really good games and stuff, but next up they have a bye, which I think is also good and bad. I mean, I think a bye week can play, a good role for your team and a bad role, depending on, who you're going to play next. Like the Minnesota Vikings going on a bye after beating the Carolina Panthers. Now they got the Cowboys. They have 2 weeks to prepare for it. It's like, okay, that might help us, but at the same time, that's 2 weeks, okay, that we haven't played football. What the hell? Like, is everybody going to be mentally, physically ready to perform or to play this game? It's like, well, we'll find out. But after the bye, they got the Giants, in which that'll be a fun game to watch, but ultimately the Raiders are going to win that one. Then they got the Chiefs. That'll be an interesting game to watch to see what it kind of unfolds. Like we've talked, the Chiefs can put up points like that, okay? We all know that. Their defense, though, is last in like literally every single category. I mentioned that yesterday. So that's going to be a fun game to watch. I think ultimately the Raiders probably pull this one off, okay? I don't know how they are going to pull it off. It is 3 weeks away, okay, counting this week, I guess. So this week 10 that they play the Chiefs, so that'll be an interesting game. But I ultimately, like I said, think the Raiders are going to win that game. Then they got the Bengals. That's going to be a fun game to watch. Two very similar teams, okay, identity-wise, how they play the game of football, going head-to-head. At that point in the season, it's like I think they're going to be playing for a playoff spot, okay? If they, beat the Giants, beat the Chiefs, I think at that point, if they end up beating the Bengals are going to be sitting at 8-2 on the season. That's big, okay? That's basically, you're looking at 500 or above. That's huge for an NFL team, especially with a 17 slate game season. That'll be interesting to see how that one comes or plays about. But after that Bengals game, which will be a fun one, they got the Cowboys. Cowboys, hey, they still are damn boys over there, okay? I remember seeing all those memes last year and just checking in to see if all y'all still them boys over there. Well, tides have turned. Cowboys are still them boys, especially with Dak Prescott, Ezekiel Elliott's healthy, and that CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper, that whole defense. Trevon Diggs is just playing out of his mind. Hopefully that continues to happen. But it's going to be a tough one, but it's also going to be an easy one, I think, for the Raiders because they should beat the Giants. They'll probably beat the Chiefs if that Chiefs defense continues to play as shittily as it has. And the Bengals will be a tough one. I think that'll be a back and forth battle. Bengals probably come out on top, unless I see some massive turn of events for the Raiders and how well they're performing before that game. And then they got the Cowboys, probably going to lose that one if the Cowboys stay healthy and continue to do exactly what they have been doing all year and can just balling out on that football field. So for my last team on True Identity Tuesday, we have the Tennessee Titans. And this is another one I think everybody agrees or would agree on, that their identity, the Tennessee Titans' identity, is Derrick Henry. This man, he's going to have another 2,000-yard season. Okay, last year I believe it was just over 2,000, but this year he's going to break it, having an extra game. I mean, the man is just a freak of nature. You have to stop him to stop the Tennessee Titans. Plain and simple, you have to stop Derrick Henry. If you don't, game over. Right then and there. Okay, we've seen them beat the piss out of the Chiefs. We've seen them beat the Bills. All right, we've seen them beat the Jags, Colts, and Seahawks. Okay, so those first three, Seahawks, Jags, and Colts, it's like, okay, well, that was probably most likely going to happen anyways. But the Bills and the Chiefs, it's like, well, we might have a good football team on our hands. But go right back to Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry is a big reason and played a big part and a big role of why they beat those teams. Establish the run game. Establish it early on so that the other team knows, oh shit, let's focus on the run a little bit, and then kind of incorporate that passing attack defense where we gotta cover the receivers, make sure nothing gets behind us, and I think that is where kind of you get caught, where defenses get caught because they're focusing way too much on Derrick Henry, which, I mean, you're going to have to, okay, because you got to find a way to stop him first before you stop A.J. Brown, before you stop Julio Jones. I think you got to put your best corners on those guys and figure out any way possible to stop them, but at the same time, they're going to go right back to Derrick Henry. If you can't stop Julio and if you can't stop A.J., Derrick Henry's going to be the man that they're giving the ball to at any time. The man fucking threw a touchdown pass last week against the Kansas City Chiefs. Okay, the Tennessee Titans' identity is plain and simple, Derrick fucking Henry. Stop him, stop the Titans. If you don't, game over, like I just said not too long ago. Next up for them, they have the Colts, another division game, who they beat earlier in the year. Then they have the Rams. That'll be a fun one. That'll be a tough one because they already dethroned the Bills and beat the Chiefs. Two very, very solid teams in the NFL. Now they got the Rams, who's another solid team. I believe they are sitting at 6-1, if I'm not mistaken. So they are a good team and a team that is going to be tough to beat. Okay, just like the Cardinals, they're sitting right behind them. And then after that, they got the Saints, one of those teams that we just talked about. Their identity is Alvin Kamara. Alvin Kamara versus Derrick Henry. Who you got? Probably Derrick Henry. Okay, that's what I would go with. If you're looking at just a pure runner, taking Derrick. Okay, if you're looking at I need a guy who can run and he can catch balls, I might go with Alvin, but at the same time, it's like, I got Julio Jones and A.J. Brown. Why the fuck do I need to throw to Derrick? I can just give him the ball, hand it off, and then pass to those two goons out there. So that's a toss-up. That'll be a fun game to watch. Ultimately, I think the Titans probably win that one as well. Then they got the Texans, the Houston Texans. They're man, they put me at loss of words. Like, these guys, they suck. They're a bad team. They're a bad football team. Probably going to be last in my power rankings, even though I know the Lions are winless. All right, but look, the Lions show a little bit more fight in them, okay, compared to that of the Houston Texans. I mean, Lions went out there and tried pulling every fucking were flipping every switch that they could, trying to get a win over the Rams. Ultimately couldn't, got that, or converted on the onside kick, converted on that fake punt, still end up losing. That was going to happen anyways. I don't care who you are or what you are. If you're a Lions fan, look, that was just, it's the Rams, a team that is mountains ahead of fucking the Lions at this point in the season. I think at this point in the NFL. Okay, the Lions are just plain and simple garbage. All right. Then after the Saints, or after the Texans, they got the New England Patriots. And the Patriots are going to be interesting because they're a team that's going to go out there and they're going to give you fits. Okay, they pride themselves on defense, and rightfully so. Bill Belichick is defensive-minded head coach. He's going to do whatever it takes to keep you to as little points as possible. Whether he wins or loses, hey, he doesn't care. At the end of the day, he's just like, well, we're on to the next game. This game was over. Literally seconds after the game happens, he's always just like, all right, yeah, we ran pretty good, but now we're focusing on blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, we understand that. So the Patriots are going to put up a good fight. I mean, they just hung 54 points on the New York Jets. I think it might be safe to say that we might have a game there against the Tennessee Titans, but it all goes back to Derrick fucking Henry. You stop Derrick Henry, I think you might have a chance at beating the Titans. But if you stop Derrick Henry, I think you also have to stop Julio Jones and A.J. Brown. And that's a tough one. But their defense has also been playing pretty well. Can't put them off the radar. Got to keep them on the radar because they are playing some really, really good football. Held the Chiefs to 3 points, beat the Bills. Can't remember what the score was off the top of my head on that one, but you get it. Okay, that defense is playing pretty solid for the most part, and I think a lot of us are kind of not really shocked, but a little kind of like, wow, all right. They have a pretty solid defense. There's really no holes there. Maybe at their linebacker position, they could use some help over there. But I think ultimately the identity of the Tennessee Titans is Derrick Henry. Well, that is all I have for you guys today on True Identity Tuesday. Thank you so much for joining me. Continue to do so. If not, hey, I don't care. All right? If you want to watch, you want to watch. If not, see you later. I didn't ask you to do that. But have a good rest of your day. We will not be back here tomorrow. Got to go do some things. Got to get some shit done before the hunting season gets underway. Got to go shoot that 30-point buck or whatever you want to call it. But that'll be fun. Have a great rest of your day. We'll see you back here Thursday before the game for a quick preview of Thursday Night Football between the Green Bay Packers and the Arizona Cardinals, who are still 7-0. All right, so have a good one. We'll see you on Thursday. And you just got your fix with the Wicks. Peace out, boys.